Sunny, hush, please. So YouTube's been a little bit wonky, glitchy, but brief rating and trying again, and it's so something kind of came up this morning, and it kind of makes me want to just kind of quickly say that it feels like some people in workplaces um, sorry, have music playing, but I know YouTube won't like it. Suppose I don't need anything in the background. I was gonna say that's a further away switch, but I just happened to have it on a channel that doesn't seem to have much sound. So um, at the moment, anyway. But some people are very non ADHD, no, hyper focused, very kind of um, they keep to themselves even when they're, and I understand not everything is somebody else's business, but at the same time, part of me feels like we're all meant to kind of hear and sometimes, yes, just observe, but hear the things that we're meant to hear and and have value in the things that we're saying for the most part. So, I don't know. Mostly, I feel like seem to only input when they have an objection is what I think I was kind of feeling. And so, I mean, I guess this isn't quite what I went through at this one particular example, but and hopefully won't be. But I do think it should be a little bit more careful, even though they work together. But yeah, it was just I was actually happened to, and I feel iffy about it. Part of me really doesn't want to spend time thinking about it, but I was just reminded while we're waiting for viewers, I was just reminded of a place that I'd been volunteering at one point in time, and I was kind of alluding to in a previous video this one lady who, yeah, I was, and I even told her, I said I was getting the sense that she really just mostly liked to keep to herself, didn't really want to be talked to, so I wasn't going to. Um, I had a water over here, and it's not this one. I don't. No, maybe it is. It was a cold water, or cold-ish. Maybe it's warmed up a bit. I didn't think I put it there, though. I would have thought Oh no, here. Um, they feel similar. In fact, maybe I'll try this one first. Anywho, and I say I was gonna just actually start ignoring her, but I was a volunteer. They were staff, and we hate to say that gender may have played a role because honestly, I'm kind of I am and I'm not kind of a very gender neutral person. That's a good way to put it, actually. If somebody doesn't want to say non-binary or gender fluid, and they're practically the same thing. There's so many terms. Actually, gender neutral, I think, is maybe a little bit more outdated now, and not that long ago it wasn't. But I mean, like I'm a person, and like a lot of guys, although they don't always acknowledge it, I have slightly feminine qualities, and this is chapstick, not lipstick. Although the stuff I was using before looked a bit more like lipstick, I didn't hugely mind. I mostly used it at home anyway. But slightly feminine qualities and also kind of masculine. And that's actually not anything new. I've there's that stuff I was looking for. I've always kind of been that way, or I've been that way for a lot of my adulthood. But I am becoming a bit more aware of it and a bit more kind of accepting of it. But that's not the topic, really. But however, people like to twist things sometimes. I will say, because I'm thinking about this one situation where I tried to comfort somebody. I mean, I wasn't being entirely honest with myself, but I had tried to comfort them, and the agency worked within the various mental health in various communities. And I said, well, like I'm gay and that, and I thought I said, so no worries or something like that. And as I was talking to the volunteer coordinator, she apparently came in the room and showed him the email. But like, here's the thing. When I think back about it, she probably just acted out of impulse instead of sitting there and processing it herself, showed it to him as if it was coming across as a complaint. And because she didn't process it, very much time at all to process it, she says, I think he's saying I'm a homophobe or something. And she's like, now she's being accused of this. And they never really, and I mean, I'm not exactly gay either, but, it never even came to, sorry if you thought that or whatever. It was the weirdest thing. I mean, there was a few things, like I say, there was a couple people that were really kind of not the greatest people. Well, then there was actually one that other people, when she wasn't there, were talking about how much she hated. And I'm not saying, that, yeah, it's gossip. I mean, I was kind of thankful, and it's actually ironic because I got this shirt from the market that they had there. But I'm just talking about an experience that I went through, and then adjust the title, which this kind of fits in it. I'm gonna put it in the comments too. That way, I had some dots, whatever. I'm keep focused as well. But it's interesting that I'm talking about this, and I'm hoping that there's no coincidence. That's something else that I'd like to talk about is coincidences. And I've often thought sometimes they make me anxious, sometimes they're just amusing. What are your thoughts about them? And there was somebody there for a few seconds, but sometimes they just don't stay very long. Coincidence? No, I mean, I don't know. But anyway, but I guess there is a part of me that feels like, I'm kind of bringing up the topic, and as much as I don't really want it to be part of my day, maybe the second time will be no, this is not going to be related to that or like that. But basically, yeah, so I told him, like this one person, I was starting to get the sense that maybe she'd rather just be ignored. This is the thing. I guess I don't like to, and this would be really great to be saying if there's a viewer there, ignore people. I know it doesn't feel great. But like I say, some people have their preference and they're just not necessarily working in their ideal working environment. And some can mostly manage with that better than others, but clearly she really actually couldn't. But what I was alluding to was, no, I was kind of glad, in a way, glad to find out. And I mean, honestly, what they were doing is kind of climatizing me to the environment, and like she wasn't there, so they weren't like saying it in front of her face, which would have been maybe more hurtful. And it was pretty anonymous, and I think they just were really giving me a heads up. And I can't remember. No, I don't think I ever did talk to her on the phone. I was supposed to, for some reason, some sort of training or something, I can't remember. And it was very easy to otherwise get involved there. Some places really aren't. There's such a process. But the day that I first saw her, like I say, I was able to avoid going in the room for a little while. And then I finally did. And to be honest, and the other guy that was in there, who may not have been one of the ones who was saying anything about her, seemed to get along with her. I mean, I think, and it's a case with a lot of us, but some of us can manage ourselves better, I guess. But it may have been an instance of it depended on the day. I think I only met her on that one day, maybe twice. And, it may have just depended on the day. And that particular day they were doing this market and like artisan market, and somebody had bought her something. And I think she was able to buy something for someone else. And even though it was crowded, perhaps, and hectic, at times it wasn't too bad, though. She was having a good day. She was, It's right now that she commented much more about music, but neither did he. I do want to put this over there soon, though. But yeah, sitting up for a while. But the dog's being good and I'm rolling, so. And I hate to toggle, but I just want to quickly, okay. And yeah, there was two others there. One had a problem with me. One actually didn't really. And it was more that I started to feel uncomfortable about her. I mean, there was one thing about her that I've always kind of found a little bit strange whenever I noticed it about people. But then there was a couple other things. But you know what? At the same time, she was nice, and she didn't have anything against me. Unlike these other bees. Sorry. You know? But but so it all worked out. I mean, the volunteer role was not. It wasn't a super active thing. It was a mental health line essentially, but not the main one that our city has. Not even the second main one necessarily. I didn't even know about it in all my years, kind of, knowing about resources and stuff. Same with the Edgewood. Like they say, they've been around for 35 years. Like how have I been in the city for 16 years and never heard of them? I mean, I've been in this neighborhood 7. It's really weird to me. I mean, they can say that just to, unfortunately, some companies will lie just to make themselves sound better, and they can say that. I'm not seeing it live here, but I hope that's not one of them. It's showing titles from the 2 previous ones, but that's not that's not this one. Maybe after it's done. If not, though, I'm going to get rid of that just in case. And it's been saying dangerous to the phrases. Now, is it reloading? Of course it is. So I have to refind it. So while I'm doing so, so it all worked out for the best. Like I said, there wasn't a whole lot to do. It was a bit of a toxic environment, mostly because some people were making it that way. They were judgy. They were not as a mental health agency, and one of the staff was new, and maybe she just wasn't at a point where she really was able to come back and do this job. Not that it was a super hard or unpleasant one, but like mentally, she maybe had some instabilities that she needed to work out. See, this is the thing. I have been through ruts, and I have made a lot of progress to the point where I'm ready, but being ready does not necessarily mean that you're going to get opportunities, because there's lots of competition out there. Whether it's the ones getting their first high school job, the first job out of high school, coming out of retirement, newly immigrated, whatever it is. Some workplaces are kind of sexist. I feel mixed about that, really. But I mean, it's and then if you don't have the skills, and they don't have much of a training program, or they're too far away, or whatever. There's just so many challenges, and they're not easy to change. So necessarily. So, um, self-employment is a good bet, and it could take a while. It could take a while to really get yourself up and running sometimes, but sometimes if you have no other choice, you have to keep putting in the effort, I guess, and hoping that eventually it pays off. I mean, and it's kind of one of those things that sometimes it will be better than other times. But it's interesting. My brother, he was in a band from like 14 or 15 years old to mid 20s maybe, and then he's been a music producer almost right after and ever since. He sent me an email not that long ago, and I don't think I told him about it, but that's okay, because she's doing fine, and I would have discovered, and he's in another country, couldn't do anything. Really. Although it may have gotten him here. If she passes away, he probably would come here. But it isn't, I mean, she sounds like she was having a hard time talking, but it doesn't sound, but I don't know. But otherwise, I don't think he travels much, and it sounds like he lives in a very. I mean, you got to make the most of what you got, like we were saying the other day. But he lives in a very nice place, I'm sure, countryside of France, essentially. I've never been, but it sounds nice. Possibly near some vineyards as well, and I don't know if it's a house or apartment or what, but. And before that, he lived in Australia, and he's lived in England briefly. And I mean, he's gotten around, like, and he's managed with his self-employment. He says, oh, I would say appreciate that little time in between. I understand, that your expenses aren't going to stop, and so you need to keep having work. And I don't know. I'm not there, so I don't know what the gap really is. And I've written a song about him actually. But and we're not in a ton of contact. So when he says I have gaps between jobs, and he freaks out a little bit. I mean, I still think they're not that bad. He's built a name for himself in the producing industry, and I think he's doing pretty good. Like he should. I don't want to talk down about myself because sometimes I'm doing better than others, but you should take a look at my life a little closer. You know what I mean? But maybe I should send this to him. I mean, I'm not saying, and there was somebody briefly there, I'm not saying I'm not proud of him, that I don't care and love him. But one of us is more privileged. I think he still has access to a car. At least he's more easier to get around by the sounds of it. He reacclimatizes himself to new surroundings easier. I mean, I don't have that happen all that often, but it's I don't know. We're different. We're different. Very alike. Being he's not as much musical as he is into production now, but very different too. And so, but I'm here to help people. I'm here to heal. I'm here to enlighten. I'm here to have a positive impact, and hopefully our viewers are as well. And so I'm finally going to get to, and the person left, but they were there for like 3 minutes. They're like, "Oh, screw all that positive stuff. I'm a negative troll." And if that's the case, well, then you know what? I'm happy that you didn't stick around. You know what I mean? But I might send this to Bert Christie because I want him to know about my life. I want him to know about my thinking and my thoughts and my day to day a bit more. And and to be quite honest, there's a part of me that wants to know about his a bit more. But maybe I don't know if I'm in a place to hear it at this point yet. Maybe I'm getting there. I don't know. But and again, I've already said, and I'll say it again because it's true. I'm proud of my brother. I'm happy that he's doing pretty well. And it's the same thing. I'd want him to be proud of me, even though I'm maybe not doing quite as well. You know what I mean? But basically, somebody posted anonymously, so I'm going to keep it that way, in this group, this post, and I want to talk about it. I don't know if I should wait till we have somebody here or if I should just start. I do feel like I need to slow down for a moment, though, so I'll do so. I must take those cues and listen to them. And sometimes when I look up, my eyes go buggy and it's like, oh, it says 1. Oh, no, it doesn't. But I can certainly tell that sometimes it does say 1, 2, 3, 4. The most I've seen recently at one time, and it may have been when I was doing that improv thing. Maybe I shouldn't say because I don't know if it makes it sound good or not. I was happy to see it, although in some stayed for a while, but a lot of people seem shy on here. A lot of people aren't. But hey, you know what? If they're choosing not to say something rude or disrespectful, why would they do that? Why would they say so? Why would they be that way? I mean, people are going to be how they are, and it's on the internet. So, but then I'm happy if they decide, never mind, I'm just not going to watch it. But again, there's various reasons, and I sometimes mention them. And you know what? I think it's a good thing that I do in some ways because other people who do videos. Okay, I have to leave in about an hour, I guess, right? Yeah. Other people who do videos, it's important for them to remember it too, perhaps. So I don't have that long before I have to leave. I've got my stuff pretty well together, so I just got to kind of situate the dog in the bedroom with the door closed and the AC on because and part of me feels I should eat a bit more too, but maybe I will. We'll see. Just before I go. He said, that's not, not uncommon, but just because otherwise he might get into things. I guess from a security standpoint, but anyway. But we've always done that, and yeah, he's still, even if he's almost 4, he's still a curious puppy, and he likes to, or curious dog, and he likes to explore and stuff, and also sometimes we struggle with clutter. I do anyway, and so I try to make it so that there's nothing that he can easily get, but it's not always that easy. So anyway, I don't have a ton of time, so I think I'm just going to jump right into the other plans for this video. Since I've got it rolling, this one hasn't been rolling that long, and it's okay if some of them are shorter. Again, I touch on that sometimes in the videos too. You watch as much as you can at any given time. You can always come back and watch the rest. Always happy to hear from the viewers, positive comments, feedback, thoughts. And yeah, but I mean, I understand if they get long. I just don't want you to feel daunted. I mean, I'm not the only one that posts hour-long videos on the internet fairly actively, because I've got the time to dedicate to this channel these days for the most part. But I understand that some people may find, oh, that's too long. Well, who says you have to watch all of it? Watch what you can, and you can take more than one go at it, like I say. So that's, nobody's watching this to get that. I mean, again, I think it's obvious, but some people, they may not think that far in. So I don't want there to be a long gap, but I'm just gonna. This guy's gotten a few comments on his posts. I think it's a guy, so I'm not gonna feel too bad if I don't put one. If I read it, but I'll put it here, and maybe it'll help somebody here. And if that person happens to see it, this is how you're getting my help. And if it's somebody else seeing it, similar, So it just, my lips get, Anywho, I only kind of read a little bit of this morning when I was kind of briefly waking up. And I related to some of it, or have related, and the wording is very interesting, and it is unique. I do understand that, but again, there's so many people and so many groups online. The fact that somebody would find this, and if they do, maybe them, I don't know. I just felt, I read it, and it resonated, and I can't be the only one it resonates with in some ways, and I just feel like it's worthwhile to talk about. I don't know if I want to put myself on the post. I still feel mixy. I get it in some ways, but with anonymous posters. And he's gotten some comments. So I lost my job today. My daughter turns 1 shortly, and I have a second kid on the way. It's not the job I miss. I don't care about not having that job anymore. Clearly sounds like they didn't like it. He didn't like it, whatever it is. I'm worried I'll see my wife give birth on the streets or in a shelter. That would be sad, but it's probably not uncommon. I'm scared I won't be able to feed them or keep them safe. I have no specific skills. We all have innate, natural, if you want to say God-given, whatever, skills and talents. We do. Almost all of us do. Unfortunately, sometimes other people and ourselves aren't great at letting those shine and happen. And I wouldn't want to be watching Dracula. And we kind of try to keep up with the Joneses, and we take any job. Some people are unfortunately less able to do that, I would say, whether it's because they don't drive, because you at least need something that you don't have for the job, because of the environment, because it's the physical aspect, whatever it is, but some people are more able, even if they say, this isn't really what I like, but I have no skill or specialist knowledge. Who says you have to be a specialist? I'm at the mercy of whoever I can beg to throw me scraps from their table, I think is just a phrase. Employment for me is an uphill battle, and I have no idea when I'll have it again. I don't know what I want to do for a living. I'm 35, I'm 38, I felt that, and never found my path. I'm a caged bird who's never felt how it feels to fly, as every time I stretch my wings, they chafe on the bars. Very poetic in a way, right? I'm a tethered horse who doesn't know how fast he can run because the chain halts me every time he tries to run. And horses, yeah, I'd love to show it to me, but I really don't think she, I don't know. She might just put, or she might not. And then, or she'll attack you. That's awkward. I don't even know if she knows what happened there. And I don't, I think she would say she has to respect that that's between us, and she wouldn't try to, you know, and our follow isn't quite a follow at the moment. There's a part of me that certainly wants to. Just a moment. Um, um, Available. What time to what time? See, I meant to come in and quickly send something to somebody else because I think I've talked myself into it, and then I hope I don't lose the post. Available. 11:30. I don't know if there's really anything else to say to that, so I'll send that through. That looks like it's a bigger blurb than before. Now it's in French. I didn't notice that before. Everybody's different, right? You might be younger. I mean, my grandmother passed away 14 years ago, and the other one possibly before I was even born. I've talked about it a little bit in this channel, but yeah, just somebody that I was supposed to hear from the other day. His grandmother was in the hospital. It was a bit of an emergency. He did still try and call me afterwards. I didn't notice, as well as yesterday. And if I was out a little bit yesterday. He didn't leave a voicemail. There is at least room for one more. But I also had a private call, and I didn't notice it at first because the phone was muted. And then when I tried to answer it, it was just the tone. Um, but You never know who's going to come back into our life and follow along. And I don't know if I should mention one person that comes to mind, but and I guess you never know who might see these too, right? But I continue. I've almost read the full post, but then I kind of want to look at some of the comments, and then I want to maybe share my song lyrics, and then I should be able to get all of that in before I have to kind of do the stuff before I head out. Although I'm thinking of the time I have to be there, I do have to give myself a bit of time. Yeah, so I can't go more than 45 minutes more, but it probably won't even be that, but we'll see. It's a hard day, the hardest in a long time, which is interesting because it sounds like he's been struggling at his job. It sounds like he's been um, maybe feeling like he's struggling as a parent, and maybe, you know, says it's the hardest one in a long time. I got to take it as say so, but in the way I relate to some of this stuff and the way I'm reading it, it sounds like, yeah, it sounds like the opposite of that. Or it sounds like he's been going through a hard time for longer. Not planning anything drastic, but I need to get outside of my own head. I understand. Mind is running away with itself, and it can't. I think he means discern or focus. It's the strangest combination of sadness and restlessness I've ever felt. Someone says pray a deep prayer for gratitude. They go for a jog or something to get your energy flowing again. Use that energy to find another job. It's not really easy. But, he's got kids. And if I had kids, but still, I would struggle with my challenges. But I would definitely feel the pressure more. I definitely feel like, yeah, I need to really be, you know, especially if you have a partner that for whatever reason can't work. I mean, I do feel that you can raise kids on a low income. People do it all the time. It's about the bond that you have with your kids, and if you're left there, but it's about just before I said about bond. Um, and as long as they do have food and shelter and you know um, clothes, then and they don't necessarily have to be. It's nice when they are at least decent looking clothes, but they don't have to be like high end. They don't have to necessarily. I say this, but I guess I do somewhat realize that sometimes kids damage their clothes pretty quickly. When they're playing and falling in mud and dirt and on the on playgrounds or whatever. I don't know, but I still think clothes are actually, even not expensive clothes, are usually fairly durable. So this is interesting, and I did want to say something about this. I'm glad it's kind of speaking to me. There's nobody here at the moment. I'd kind of rather there be someone here who's holding interest, possibly engaging, and then say, "I'll be right back," and they'll be like, "Cool, cool. I look forward to your return." As opposed to, because I understand. I mean, sometimes you got to do what you got to do, but I understand it doesn't necessarily look great if somebody comes in and nothing's happening. You know, but it's also not great for my. I mean, usually it's because I have to quickly go to the washroom. It's not great for especially with my health problems, to ignore that. But Somebody's here. Sorry, I was just reading something and I'm not sure what to think of it. And then they left. Or came back. Somebody's here. So this post, I just read it. You can look back at this video to see it later, but this is a comment on it, and I feel a little bit mixed about it. It's not my post, but and once again, whatever. I can make it much a lot, but it's a laptop, so I really should not make myself. And I also want to get my coffee in the fridge. I don't want to have to dump it out later, and I don't want it to sit out. But when I come back, I'm going to read that comment. So you better be here, and you better like it. Oh, there's no water in there. I'm going to put some water in there. Take it here. It's very frozen. So I thought I had, but I guess I took it out. No, it's just so hot yesterday that it's been cold. It's almost 11 and rather be cool then. So I'm done the video too, of course. But then well, it's supposed to be a little cooler out today, but sure, I think it will. If it gets frozen, it'll be more like it, and it's hard to chew ice from there. Yeah, that picture wasn't really pouring it out, and he wanted it to be. And I tried to, it was like, it wanted to, but it didn't. I was just thinking about these shoes. Like, I can wear them to the distance of the deck. Like, I know I'd be on the bike, and I don't know how they are for riding the bike with. Maybe I should wear. I don't know if I can get socks on. With them. Honey, be laying down. I'm just getting my shoes. They're a bit tight. And but I kind of can get. I don't know how they'd beat the bike with, or if they'd slide off because I can't fit the backs on. Although they're otherwise kind of sandal that I like, and but they would be cooler with my feet. Okay, just a moment here. 10:10, eh? Hi, how's it going? I just wanted to quickly call and remind you that this may have been the thing I was trying to remember the other day. I can't remember for sure. And these look like they're added insoles that are nicer on the bottom, but that I'm still kind of interested in getting another pair of sandals similar to this. But I was trying to figure out how big these things were, but you can kind of remember because you've seen them, I guess. But maybe a size bigger. but the same idea otherwise. Yeah. Okay, cool. How was the meeting this morning? Oh, you're already eating. Okay. You're out in the truck? You haven't lately, actually, but okay. Sounds good. Oh, I realized. I think he understands the can thing. Oh, cool. Yeah, yeah. It wasn't noisy, so maybe he didn't even hear. Just me, interesting guy, and I guess you'll probably see some of the others if you haven't already. No word about the auction yet, eh? How it went or whatever, or if there was any winning. Okay, well, it's not that late yet. Okay, well, I'll let you go. I gotta finish what I'm doing and heading out soon, but okay, talk to you later. Okay, bye. Yeah, I'm not going to make a thing about it. However, I don't know this kind of thinking. I don't think I'm going to really associate more than I need to with the one that I talked to earlier on the phone. Although I don't think it's preventable that they are just not wanting people to go to that area, and it's kind of hidden. And if they don't, yeah. Anywho, so I mean, she told me, and I didn't ask more than once, but yeah. Anyway, it's all good. There was somebody briefly there just after I came off on the phone, but that didn't make any difference. They're not still there. I'm not surprised with some people do at work, but I think that they're busy enough there that people wander in. Although they do, they're pretty security. Uh, they say it slows down over the summer, but anywho, yeah, I just put those in there. It's not going to be very cold yet. It's cold to the touch, and even on the touch. Well, this one's getting long. I'm glad the glitch was brief and that I was able to pretty much start the next one right after because it had gotten a bit long and slightly distracted. And yeah, but I am curious. I'm curious because of the topic. I'm curious because of the person's wordings, what people are saying on this. So, this is a comment to somebody who is struggling with unemployment and parenting. And even if you don't relate to that, I am curious your thoughts about this, and I'm going to share mine. So the guy says, that's one thing when people are using like case examples, like whether they're a counselor or whatever, and they're talking about a client and they say, let's call them so and so. First of all, you already know that they're making up a name, and why not just use the first name? At first, I thought, well, maybe because if some things are so specific, if you use a certain first name, then they'll figure it out. But like I say, I think as soon as I hear let's say their name is so and so, then you know that they're kind of making it up, that it's not their name. So, and I looked at this comment already, so I think it would be fine with this example to say that the guy's name. But you know what? I don't really need to. So, anyway. Go find a construction project like a single family home. Why that specific? I don't know. Go talk to the owner and tell him your story and be honest. I really, I almost do. I want to wait to see if somebody tunes in. But I do have to leave in a little bit. And I do have a couple short things I have to do first. I mean, I haven't eaten a lot, so I really should have something. Shovel something quickly in. You know what? I'm going to do this for the people that are watching after the fact that have been intrigued, whether by the title or skipping ahead or watching the whole thing, whatever they're doing. I'm going to just roll, and if somebody tunes in and engages, like I say, I just got to watch the time. For the most part, then cool. Tell them your story. Be honest and try to stay clear from sounding like a victim. When people say that, sometimes I think, well, sometimes somebody is a victim of something. And almost when you hear that phrase, it almost kind of sounds like you're trying to dehumanize it, or you're trying to take the shame out of it. Sometimes you truly are, though, like I say. And how can he tell his story? People are going to perceive things as they're going to perceive them. The person, that's like, but they're going to, so he could tell his story. First of all, is he telling him how to not seem like a victim? Second of all, is he telling him, I don't know how this guy could, he could say it exactly how he worded it there. Like the whole phrase victim mentality, I think it should actually be on reverse, and it should be the people that think that is a thing, or think a certain way about it. I haven't thought about it that much myself, actually, although I have been a victim. But circumstance and stuff. It's kind of like if somebody was to tell me the story, but true story, that this guy did as he posted it. I mean, everybody's. I mean, if he's saying talk to the owner of a business, if I was the owner of a business who maybe related it a little less, I don't know. On one side of things, I think I would say something to the effect of, "I don't need to know, man. I don't need to know. You need a job. I can give you one." But I am a pretty caring and empathetic person, and I would hate for someone to feel ignored, to feel like what they're going through doesn't matter. So, and I can understand how it's interesting when I first thought of it, but I think because I know myself, and I was thinking about how interestingly, I, pretty much thought, oh, but that sounds uncaring. Unfortunately, and this is where communication and empathy is important. Unfortunately, some people would say that and either really not care that much or not think they're being uncaring. I had a situation once where, and I honestly think like it was a performance thing, and one of the aspects of it was puppetry, which were not skilled puppeteers. But I told her that it's something that we're kind of newly exploring because somebody gave us these free puppets, and I sent a sample video. And honestly, I don't think our performance was much worse than that. I don't know if it was, or maybe she thought, oh, he's always going around the neighborhood. Like he doesn't need gigs from us. He's showcasing it all the time, almost like he wants attention. Which yes, and he likes it, but he also just does it because he likes to do it. I mean, she didn't say the reasons, and I tried to say, "Can I ask why?" And she says, "I'm being really polite and clear." And I said, "And a little vague." And she says, "Then we need you not to go there." And that came across as rude. She may have even said, "I don't have to explain any further than that." And I should have called her out then on it and said, "You bitch." But of course, I hung up and then started to internalize it and such and such. But I must remember that name can also be associated with that person that brought a bunch of business for us and this new friendship, and a song that I don't mind actually. But there was something else not that long ago. Can't recall. But that's an example of, that's an example of bad communication. Just like that other lady that I think I was talking about earlier. I don't know. Some people are just more verbal. I don't know. Like, especially the one for, okay, like she could have said, I really would appreciate you just not, I was just being friendly. I was just, trying to get to know people in the new environment I was in. It was brief each time, I thought. But yeah, if she really had a problem with it, rather than talking to the coordinator, she could have actually came to me and said, I really would appreciate it if, when I'm working at my desk, you just let me do so. However, like I say, and I don't think it's because of Asperger's, but I was starting to get that sense. But then there was another one who I triggered. It's like, and again, I am mostly past this, but if I reminded them of somebody, not necessarily my personality, but or just of something that wasn't healed in them, it really was nothing I actually did, but it seems like there was something that wasn't healed in them. And then the other one was just a miss, but then there was three. So, if it had been one, we could have looked at it. But I did say they were three small things. He said, yeah, but still, and he actually did say, that gender may have been at play, and maybe it was, unfortunately. Unfortunately, I mean, I tell him all the time that, there are some pretty strong, you know, um, not just physically, but, and some are stronger than men, it's true, but there are some pretty independent and strong. Like there are some women that don't fear men. Of course. I don't know, maybe it's lesbian. No, but that's also an attraction thing. But no, just in general, there really are. I don't think we should be trying to fear each other. We should be trying to coexist, right? Um, and and I mean, gender is a thing, but it's also very not, and it is. I think it's very spectrum. I don't really think I know actually, but she says, like the one instance, it's just I like to be, this is coming up today. It seemed like it's meant to come up today, and since I'm alluding to it, I might as well. And so they had a little library there in the agency, and the one librarian, she always like she didn't like the lighting or whatever. Or the girl was there, and she was standing, and she was talking to who was my worker. Now she may not have known that, and I would have thought, and I wasn't even entirely sure if they noticed I was standing there. They were talking to each other. I didn't. Normally, I would think I would, but also it's been a while. But I didn't really process as to what. And I just wanted to ask her a quick question. So I stood there for a few moments, and then I wasn't really getting an opportunity, so I wandered off. And what it seems like what happened is the other one thought that either I was eavesdropping, or I was trying to corner them, or and I was being quiet about it and everything. Rami, that's ironic. I don't recognize the name though. Like, who is this? 8 minutes ago. I don't want to see too much about us. Just a moment. Let's scroll down, please. We had somebody like that not long ago, and they turned out to be a scam. It's also not a painting. And he knows that, and it's a locked. It's some chalk art, and he wants to. Oh, this is old. That's so ironic. After thinking about a certain somebody who's on this post from 40 weeks ago, I don't know what to think, honestly. But I'm trying to focus here. Hope I haven't gotten any new emails. Kick it. Just can't check messages. So, like I say, because somebody might see this afterwards, and I might not find my way back to it later, so might as well do it now. Yeah, I'm curious why they call it maple. But anyway, then he exaggerates, which is another pet peeve of mine when people exaggerate things. Like, I tell it like it is for the most part, to the best of my ability. Yeah, I mean, I can sit and think about how that situation I was explaining, there was some unfortunate things, but honestly, I think it all worked out for the best, and so that is what led it to. Unfortunately, the callers there are not getting somebody who is very caring, empathetic, smart, I mean, I don't want to say anything about the other workers, but honestly, how many did I know? One that was really kind of so-so. Another one, which is the one that I was alluding to earlier, a lot of people didn't like. I don't. I personally didn't know well enough to say for sure. I think maybe occasionally one of the guys, they were okay. I think from what I knew, um, but you know, but they weren't getting a lot of calls. And the environment was toxic, and he says not going to be good if you were to return. It says unless we try to make it. So I think I did say that, but I think he just thought, and maybe he also was feeling, with these individuals, not likely, you know. So I don't know. I'm gonna move on too, but anyway, yeah, people that exaggerate. He says 10 million other men across the country have started from where you're at and owned their own company after 4 years. One guy witnessed, well, he doesn't have 4 years to wait, I don't think. Took 3 years, and his income increased by 60,000 annually. My head can't process that, but it sounds like a lot of money. I can process that much of it. You'll love being a construction laborer, packing lumber and keeping the framer stocked with wood. What I think he's actually saying is he would like that. How does he know if this guy would like it? That's all you need to know. Besides showing up for work, ready to run if you need to get the wood where it needs to go. If you're not crawling into the house in the evening for the first week, you're not working hard enough. Sounds military to me, or it sounds like I don't know. Not my kind of personality. Um, because also I don't think you should tell somebody that they're not trying hard enough. You know, he's alluded a little bit to his struggles, this guy, but he doesn't know his life. You know, so he shouldn't make a statement like that. It could actually break somebody who actually has been doing just the opposite and trying very hard. Um, Eat like a pig and get stacked in maybe 2 months. It's a job you either love or hate. Okay, so you realize finally. Just ask the guys on your new crew if what I'm telling you is true. Fact check me if you want, whatever that means. You have a hardship right now and you have a family. There are programs out there that can help you get housing, get busy. Minus the get busy, although, yeah, he obviously needs that, and I'm sure he realizes that. Less you're me than I'm you. That was the one who loved his comment. Honestly, I think he could have done with just putting the last part minus the get busy. Weird font on the top of his page. Confidence is silent. I don't know. Sometimes people might think I have an ego or whatever, but I think I show my confidence out loud. I don't even know if I know how to show it silently, but my attitude speaks volumes. Exactly. Not necessarily good. I don't want to say entirely bad. Straight line, eh? But not good. Somebody says you take whatever job's available, bag groceries. I don't think they have grocery bag. They make you do it yourself, or the cashier does it. They don't have that anymore. I used to do it actually, and I didn't mind it. Preserve your self-worth. Eventually, you rise out of the ashes. I don't think that bagging groceries, no offense to anybody that does it, is rising out of the ashes and a great way of self-worth. Although I get what he's kind of saying, that one. I don't have much advice, but your state's Department of Corrections is more likely short-handed and will take anyone who can be clean, provided you're not a felon. Scrappy job, but it'll pay bill and help you get on your feet. If your state is like mine, talking about the states, nothing against Americans, but the guy running things a little bit. Maybe a bit more than a little bit. If your state is like mine, your schedule will be staggered so you can job hunting during the week. At that point, I'd recommend an apprentice. And also, you hear stories about all these people applying for lots of jobs, not getting anywhere. Like my goal is to help people with self-employment because there's a bit more hope in that, I think, for a lot of people anyway. Recommend an apprenticeship in some sort of Okay, the best way, and then says man, but whatever. Be all you can be. You want to tell us how to do that? I'm sure he'd like to be. Too bad you're anonymous. I'd block your stupidity. DM soon. I know what that means. I think drop message is kind of funny language, but I'm not judging that really. This person says, apply for a job you can do at the time, but if you had the infinite money and infinite resources, what would you want to do with your life? We should be asking people that more often. Thing is it's sometimes hard to get your wants in that, get where you want in life. But I think if the dialogue happened more as opposed to, oh, what do you do? And pretending like you like it. I mean, maybe you do. And if you do, great. You know, and luckily at the thing that was on last night, I mean, some people, they knew that they worked with each other, but and that old man, he's funny, partners, but you know, or so do you work? What kind of work do you do? Not assuming that you do, and then if you do, it's one of those questions people hate, right? You like it? No, not really. I'd really rather this, and then hopefully you'd be able to say, well, I could help you with that, or I know somebody. I mean, I'm probably a bit more of the first, but maybe the second. You never know. And it would help the depression rates, not just of men, but to be able to, do it. But that being said, when you have a family, you should be spending your time with your family too. And if you love what you do to the point so much where you are overworking, not only is that not entirely, even if it's not a super laborious job, it's not good for your mind, body, and soul. It's not great for your family too. I mean, that's kind of why I lost my dad. Come to think of it, Skull. But again, I'm unsure whether I want to put myself on this post, and it's weird. Usually, it's maybe somewhat unconsciously. So usually, I do know one way or another, but this one I'm just not sure. But whatever your answer is, start pursuing that field. If it can make you money, doing what provides you personal purpose will get you a job you love. Do what you provide your personal purpose, hopefully it's a job you love. Is I think what he's trying to say. But yeah, lots of people apply for job after job after job and not hearing back. And maybe there's a reason. Maybe it's just bad luck. Maybe the places aren't hiring. Maybe it's them. No one actually wants to work. I'm sorry, Jenny. I have to disagree. Um, if anyone says they love their job, they're lying. No, I, 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 I don't agree. I feel like a lot of people don't, but there are some that do. Some of them have purposely made it so, and some of them, they. I have to get going soon, but this clock is a bit fast. I don't think there's that many more comments, but um, and I also think this might be coming from someone who doesn't like her job. Let me see. Does it say what she does? She has 3 nice dogs. Lab tech for animals. Well, if you don't like helping out animals, then why are you doing it? Actually, one of my former grade school classmates moved to where she lives, I believe, which is ironic because I was just talking about school earlier. That's a weird post. I don't know what to think of it. It's got a rainbow flag kind of along the top. And again, I'm not saying how I identify it, but this is kind of odd and sneaky. But I actually think I'm seeing it for not being supportive. Um, Although a couple of the colors are kind of going down the sides of the umbrella. I will teach my child, it says on the umbrella, male, dad, female, mom, girl, boy, so there is no confusion. Um, anyway, I don't know. Again, I'm not going to say how that speaks to me, but I will say that it does not sound like the type of person I'd want to associate with, because that's rude, it's hateful, and it's almost put in such a way which is slightly deceptive. Like, I got it, I'm smart, but I am also tired, distracted, and really none of them are the same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. About 3 of them are proof, but I took a look at it for a few moments. Initially thought, oh, I need support. But anyway, no, I do feel that some people love their jobs, and they're lucky to have them. And some people overwork because they do like what they do. A lot of those people are probably self-employed, but maybe not all of them. And it's like, I'll put in the extra hours, not just for the pay, and because, and if they're self-employed, the pay is not necessarily as guaranteed, but, not just for and some of the self-employed people too, there can be those gaps, with employment. And so it kind of helps them. Oh, yes. One thing I did really want to quickly do is, not that I'm going to be there long, but, and my first impression was good, but I do want to take a quick shower before I head out too. So I've got things to do. This has gotten fairly long. Unfortunately, it's also been kind of quiet, but I'll try to continue. Maybe I'll leave you with a cliffhanger for anybody that skips ahead or happens to watch this far. I know that's nice of me, right? But this person has really resonated with the post. And I'll leave you with a bit of hope rather than a cliffhanger. Maybe that's nicer of me. I don't know, but whatever keeps you coming back. But because I do have to go soon. Well, actually, I've this clock is fast by about, or this time is fast by about 12 minutes. I mean, I do don't feel it was when I was using in the experience I mentioned before, but I need at least 10 minutes to have a quick shower. I need at least 10-20 minutes to eat. So that's 30, 40, 30 at least. 20, 11, 10, and then I need to get there. No, so yeah. And I want to just make sure that goes well. And yeah, I might ask her about the performing thing. I'll try and remember. Um, it is on silent mode. Maybe it shouldn't be. Okay, right there. Okay, so yeah, basically, she had, and I heard another story of this recently, and they do exist. She had said that she was in a shelter and the street when her second baby came, or his. Um, Now I'm a homeowner with more work than I can take on. If you have faith, then pray about it. If you have a faith. Oh no, yeah. Anyway, okay. So anyway, to be continued, part 3. To stay tuned.